Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit podcast, where we talk all things hunting and introduce you to the most innovative hunting gear and services. Here are your hosts, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. Jimmy here, and I'm joined by Richard. What's going on?
Doing well, sir. Doing not a lot. Just
building bird houses.
Yeah, still here. So yeah, don't have the COVIDia, which is good. Don't know anybody who's got or got the COVIDia. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. Pretty crazy stuff going on out there. But that's why we keep this podcast going, so we can divert our minds to things that we love. Right? Mainly hunting.
Seriously, it's very true. I mean, and that's why I'm excited about today's episode, because I got a little story to tell. And truthfully, if we can't hear by a campfire with a beer or a drink, it's hey, you hear it over your headset, and you get them, takes your mind away from all the craziness, and that's the point of this, So
yeah, absolutely. So you alluded to what we wanted to talk about today, and just as a reminder, everyone out there, if you didn't hear our last podcast where Richard gave a review of the new shotgun that he bought for his daughter to turkey hunt with, this is kind of a part two, I guess you could say, to that episode, because now we're going to get a recap of what he learned while he was out there actually trying to use the gun and other things that came up during the turkey hunt, which I'm excited to hear about because, turkey hunting is my favorite. And here I am stuck inside here in Dallas, not able to get out there and do it. Right. Although, I did text you yesterday saying that I watched it. I don't know if this is a good thing or not, because anyway, I ended up watching a turkey hunt on the DFW Outdoors show, basically, and now they didn't end up. They missed the turkey at the very end, which I thought was interesting, because a lot of those shows, they're like last day of the hunt and they get the major trophy, but at least this was more like it felt real because they actually missed it.
Well,
it was funny because the turkey. Go ahead.
I was saying they either get the major trophy or they get the yearling 6 points. They're like, and we're going.
It's funny. This turkey, they were hunting eastern turkeys in Red River County, and it'd be awesome to do. But this one, they called in. It was coming in, huge dude, and still kind of some behind some trees and everything. You could tell it was starting. Its head was totally blue, running, basically almost darn near trotting in, like, okay, this is gonna be great. But then you can see his head slightly start to turn a little, going from blue to white, and then they're like, okay, get once he's clear, shoot him, da, 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 da. And sure enough, like right as you could, as a watcher, anyone who's turkey hunted watching the show could sense that I started tensing up because I knew this Reed was about to shoot,
Yeah.
And right as he did that, I saw that head kind of move forward, oh no, and he started running right as he shot. Literally right there, and then it started flying off after the first shot, and he kind of shot some more a little at it, trying to get it to shoot it, but they totally missed. And I was thinking, I was like, man, that happened to me. The exact same thing happened to me last year while we were hunting. I still got a good tom, but then when I went back out, it happened to me, again, where they started running right when I was ready, to shoot, and I was watching it, and I was watching it with my wife, and she was asking me questions about it. I guess to show how bored she was, and I was explaining it and everything. I was like, man, that's happened to me before. The feeling after that is just like, but then at the same time, it's like makes you want to get out there and do it again. But anyway, at least I have to watch a show about that, because I don't have the Outdoors channel on my package. Right. So that was like my one kind of reprieve, but at the same time, it made me be like a little melancholy, use the word again, I couldn't get out there, So I'm excited to hear. Sorry for hogging this up, describing all that. I'm excited to hear what happened.
Don't be silly. This is kind of our therapy session too.
Right.
Yeah, no. So, so the story begins in Paris, France, 1674. That's the French Revolution. Anyway, I've done a little bit of studying in my boredom. So, yeah, no, I think the first thing I want to talk about is like Jimmy said, we got the Stevens 301 single shot. And again, trying to get that last year to kind of come up with a really good package for all the kiddos. Well, another piece of that package that I needed to get were some pop-up blinds. I knew that, I wouldn't, it's with kids, obviously, with hunting and fishing, you really want to try to maximize, the success rate to as much as you can. Obviously, you still want fair chase and all that kind of stuff. But I knew that having my daughter or any kid for that matter sit on the ground and try to shoot a turkey is just asking a lot pretty early. That's my opinion. So, my parents are always, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for your birthday? What do you want for your birthday? I'm like, nothing. Oh, you know what? Actually, I finally figured something out. And of course, they listen very intently. And my birthday is in late March. So it works out pretty good for turkey season stuff. So I said, give me 2 cheap pop-up blinds.
You know what? Sorry to interrupt you, but I
Yeah,
don't think we ever gave you a proper happy birthday on the podcast.
Oh,
We're only
yeah.
2 weeks late now, 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah,
I got to do the math.
no, thank you.
Yeah,
I
yes,
appreciate it.
sir.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
from the Feed Bandit
20,
family to you, happy birthday,
thank
happy
you.
belated birthday.
Thank you. 27.
Right.
27. Anyway, yeah, crazy. So anyways, I ended up getting these pop-up blinds, and I wanted to do that so that we could get closer to these birds. So last year, that's what I did is I went out there since Abby, she saw me shoot the 20 gauge, said, "Listen, that's too much. I don't want to do it." I didn't pressure her. Okay. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there and test these pop-up blinds that the following year, 2020, aka this year, we can see if this really works. So I put those pop-up blinds out there, guys, kind of near the feeders, and it was amazing how, as long as you kind of set it back in the brush, and I didn't even bother brushing these things in, it was amazing how the turkeys would walk right past us like, I don't see anything different,
Wow.
It was unbelievable, and it worked everywhere. Now the deer, like, are you freaking nuts, dude? Get out of here. And that's still the case. So
there's
that gave me
one thing
of,
I've never done.
uh,
One thing I've never done is sit in a blind like that for turkey.
it's fun. Oh, it
I
believe
need
me.
to do that next time.
You will like
No,
yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, you will like it because it is easier, quote unquote easier. You can move a little bit more. So that's what we did. So okay, so fast forward to, I guess it was last Friday, no, last Saturday morning. Yeah, that's when it was. Gosh, opening day of youth turkey season. We get up at 6 a.m. I mean that's early. Well, that's typically time we woke up pre-corona. But we wake up and I got all the gear. Okay. So I've got 2 just foldable chairs you buy at Academy. Okay. I got my pop-up blind. I got some, the camo, the calls. I got everything ready to roll. And so we head out to one of these areas where I think I'm going to set up. In this area that I'm going to set up in, it's got this big power line running down the middle. So it's nice and clear. We've got a feeder there, 2 feeders there, protein and a spin feeder. And so there are some nice little pockets that have been cut out kind of in the tree line. So that's where we set up our blind. So I set up a blind and we get Abby in there. And so we're sitting kind of, we're sitting kind of not next to each other, but she's a little bit in front of me. And this blind's got 3 windows that's separated by a little bar and a little piece of fabric. So that's one of the things I really liked about this blind is I was able to put a piece of like almost, in fact, I think it's shoot through archery cloth or whatever, and I basically made it and put Abby back in the blind enough to where she had her little gun rest, okay, and just the I'd say probably 2 inches of the barrel are sticking out of the blind, so it's pretty deadly. And then she was able to move relatively easily, kind of left and right, and depending on where the birds will come from. So again, we get in there. We're probably all set by 6:30. So the cardinals start chirping, the birds start coming alive about 6:45 ish. And of course, I'm listening for goggles. Jeez, wow. I'm listening for gobbles, and I don't hear a thing, not a thing, which is just kind of bizarre. You think you'd hear one off in the distance. About 7:30 though, I finally hear one off way in the distance. I'm like, all right, well, This is good. About that time, about 7:50, the corn feeder goes off and sheds about 2 years of my life off. It scared me to death. In fact, I think
Well,
I peed a little bit too because
so
it
how
was
close were you
sad.
sitting to it?
I was probably about 10 yards. No, I was probably about 15 to 20 yards. Call it 20 yards. And that's the other thing is I had a hen decoy out in front of me, and I had the hen decoy positioned to where anything coming from the left or anything coming from the right could clearly see it. That's important to mention. So you had the decoy out there, and I'm sitting there doing my slate call. Now I'm not wearing it out. Okay, that's one of the biggest problems for turkey hunters is that they you can overcall. It's just like ducks. You don't want to overcall because chances are that during all your calling you could screw up, and that could definitely flare the birds. So I was doing my calls, and then all of a sudden to the left, kind of in one of my blind spots, I finally hear a couple of gobbles. I'm like, all right, well, and I'm listening to them as they gobble, and I'm like, okay, those don't sound like jakes. This could be full blown gobblers. This is really cool. And lo and behold, here comes a hen, and right behind her are these four big, size wise, very large first year gobblers. Okay, so they were not jakes. I say their beard is probably 2 inches, something of that nature. But God, they were thundering every time I called. They gobbled,
I
and,
love
and
that.
yeah, it was great. And really, this so early in the season, this is sometimes how you do it. The gobblers are stuck on the hens. They're going to follow that live bait all day. So it's really tough to get them separated. And I kind of knew that's what I was going to be dealing with. So, so here they come. The hen immediately goes for the corn feeder. I'm like, well, Abby, this is it, baby. This is absolutely it. When these guys come by, we're gonna wait till they stop, squeeze the trigger, and this is done. I'm thinking, man, this is great. And I'm like, you know what? She's owed because she's really been. She is. We've been. If you've listened to the show, she's been trying to get a hog since October. It just normally we're covered up in hogs because of the acorns. We just hadn't been showing up. So I'm thinking this is justice right here. And so the single hen starts going to the feeder, and the toms hang up, and it's not because of the blind. You can tell. It's almost as if okay, all four of them realize that they got my decoy, who they think is alive, and the hen near the feeder. We'll just stay right here and just hope that we maybe get the attention of some more, or we're looking for more. And so, we were able to get Abby's gun up, and we've got on the rest. Okay. And I'm doing it right now, but she's got to kind of settle. She's got the stock kind of on her leg. So I'm like, this is perfect. She's comfortable. She's not getting the shakes from having to hold it up, which of course, as we all know, if we were in outside the blind, she would. Okay. And she
Oh
just,
yeah.
it's a light gun, but she just can't do that.
That's probably for me at least,
Oh yeah.
the hardest thing to get comfortable with when you know the turkeys are coming,
Agreed.
but
Agreed.
maybe you don't see them and you don't know exactly or whatever, and you're
Oh
like, okay,
yeah.
I got to get my gun up, but I
Yep.
don't want to, wear myself out so
Exactly.
fast holding it. So I got to figure out a way to, adjust myself.
Oh, there's 100. You're 100%. You're exactly right. So, so we got this hen sitting there pecking around, pecking around. Okay, well, finally the gobblers start kind of moving. Okay, so they're going from where we're looking now. They're going from left to right. Well, they go around the protein feeder. Okay, which there's a fence right there. So Abby slowly brings her gun in. I'm holding the shooting sticks because at that point she really hadn't learned how to grab the shooting sticks with the barrel, and then get readjusted. So now the gobblers are heading towards the almost kind of the back of the corn feeder. So I've got to get her gun out of the far left window, inside the blind out the far right window. All right. Well, that's when I kind of realized, wait a minute, I'm in trouble here because she can't move her chair
Hmm.
without having to stand up. All right, and kind of scooch it this way. Huge mistake on my part. Huge mistake on my part. Because she just can't twist and sit there and hold it for an hour. So these gobblers make their way to the back of the corn feeder. And we're trying to get her position, and we're making all kinds of noise. Well, thankfully, not, frustratingly, they kind of stayed out of sight, or they stayed, just out of range. And that's the other thing, is that if it was a 12 gauge, it donezo. They are done. They were probably about 40 yards, but with this, her first turkey with the Stevens
Mhm.
301. Regardless of what the tests say, regardless of what my tests prove, I just want her first one to be very successful. So we decided not to shoot. Now, I always tell everybody that even though I've been doing this 100 years, I always run to things that just continue to surprise me. Okay. Well, this hen started walking back down past the feeder towards the kind of the Sendero, and I thought, well, crap. There she goes. And so these toms are probably going to follow her, but they didn't. Of course, I was pucking and purring and all kinds of stuff, trying to get them to stay. And every time I made a noise, they gobbled, but they never came to my decoy. But what they did start doing, which is absolutely hysterical, and I have never seen them do this, is that they, every time I would like purr or puck, they'd go crazy. And then they would start doing the mating motion. I've never seen them do this. It was like they were so fired up that for lack of a better term, they basically started humping the ground. I've never seen this before in my life. But had you had just showed up at that point and watched these toms doing this, you would have thought, oh, they have a hen on the ground. That's what they're doing. I'd never seen them do that. And of course, I'm thinking, I want to get on my phone. Like, how do you get a 1-year-old gobbler to come in when they're really, really hot? And it was incredible, an incredible experience just to see them doing that. Well, about the time that hen walks away, another hen comes in from the left, and right behind her ends up being almost 11 Jakes.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, 10 Jakes.
Well, still.
Yeah, come in, which is unbelievable. So I've got a ton of turkeys here, and and they never really gobbled much, but yeah, I was really hoping that one of them would head to our decoy. It never happened. But we ended, so for Saturday morning, I said that's a great way to begin things. We lot of turkeys, had a lot of action, learned a lot. And I'll tell you, from that point on, the little fold up chair was gone. And so Saturday evening, we went to another blind. We set up another area near a feeder, and this time we brought a swivel chair with a back. And that was the key. It's got to have a back because you're in there for a while, okay? And it was a little bit lower to the ground, so it was perfect.
Hey, hold on one quick moment. Hey folks, have you ever wished that there was an easier way to find the hunting feeds, supplies, and services you need, when and where you need them? If so, check out our hunter search at feedbandit.com, where you can see what hunting suppliers are in your area or are on the way to your land. Don't waste any more precious time searching Google or calling around for feed, blinds, feeders, or even outfitters. Just use our targeted search for hunters, the Feed Bandit Hunter Search, over at feedbandit.com. We'll find your feed.
You make sure it's well oiled with some little WD-40.
And that's funny you say that, because I never even thought about that, Jimmy. Never even thought about it. But to your point, thank God it was, because it did not squeak. But so Saturday, same type scenario. We were going to one of our blinds that's actually your favorite blind, Jimmy, on another pasture. And we were a little late leaving the house, go figure. And this time, my wife and my youngest daughter, who was just about to turn 5, we're going to be up in the deer stand, and Abby and I are going to be in our little pop-up blind near the feeder. So it's going to be great. We were going to have, if anybody's seen the early 1990s movie Navy SEALs, where they're like, God, they got the sniper in the tower and they're talking to, quote, God. That's how it was. So my wife was up in the blind, and so she could see everything. So we were going to that blind that you love so much, and we're doing the typical. All right, cross your fingers. Let's hopefully they're not there. And boy, sure as hell, they're there, and there's a bunch of them. So they're already in there. I'm like, well, there goes that. So we keep driving. This particular pasture, we've got 2 blinds, 2 blinds and feeders. So we end up.
Let me jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
When that's happened to me at that location, what I've done before, is just set up, where we typically park our cars on that backside. And I just sit there and I've called them up, obviously up,
Yep.
up and around.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I sat there and kind of did the thinking in my head, and I said, do I really want to do this? Because I'm like, I gotta get the blind set up. She's
Right.
in shorts, I'm in short. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it's
not.
much easier by yourself probably to do
Yeah,
that.
raw.
When
Yeah,
you know
big
they're all right there and you're trying not to make noise for them
right.
to hear you.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing is they're so henned up. So, I mean,
Mhm.
this is so early. It was still cold, quote unquote. So the hens have not gone to nest yet, and that's really when you see a majority of your turkey hunters succeed in kind of the way you and I like to do it, the cat and mouse, is
Mhm.
when those hens head to the nest and they show no interest in the gobblers, or they show no interest in doing anything but sitting on their nest. So we ended up going to the other blind on that pasture, which about, and we get to the cattle guard that kind of separates. It's like a middle of this pasture, and there's another big tom. Blow him out of there! I'm like, God, here we go. So finally, we drive up to the other blind and figure there's nothing there. We get set up, put the decoy out. Again, the decoy is kind of strategically put out to where, anything coming from the left and right can see it really well. And so we were able to set up this pop-up blind in between these two cedar trees. It was perfect. Just perfect. So I start calling, and we literally didn't hear anything for probably about an hour. And finally we heard gobbles kind of in the distance. And then my wife texts me. She goes, "Here they come." And sure enough, it was a hen and two big gobblers. And the two big gobblers head to the protein station, which is a little separate from where the corn feeder is, because the hen's there. Okay. And so I automatically know, listen, this is just going to be a battle between me and the hen, between me and the live hen. And so we're going back and forth, and they are gobbling like crazy.
Love
And
it.
of course, my wife's text. Thank God we got free data, because and my fingers were cramping when it was all said and done. But she was like, here they come, here they come. Then the hen would make a noise and they would turn back around. I mean, they just wore out this little trail. Longer story, or a very long story short, the closest I ever got those two gobblers was within about 45 yards. I could just see them. Again, if it was a 12 gauge, 3.5-inch shell, one of us would have definitely taken the shot. But for her, again, just too far. Didn't want to blow it. So, um, but still, just another great experience, and I could tell she's getting a little frustrated because she felt like she blew the chance in the morning. I of course told her, listen, this is what happens. It's going to happen again. But to have a big thunder chicken that close and gobbling like that, I think was a real was a real treat for her. So again,
Mhm.
lots of good family time with the kiddos. Yeah, but it was fun. Sunday
Well,
morning,
the
yeah.
worst. It could have been worse. You could have been totally skunked. So
Mhm.
at least she's seeing the success of
Oh yeah.
calling, talking back and all that.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh
to
yeah.
me is actually one of the top probably three favorite things about turkey hunting is when you can
Oh yeah.
engage with one and you can actually talk to it.
No,
That's
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, it was just anyways. The cat and mouse went on forever, and I what I was really hoping for, was that the gobblers were over there by this protein station, going crazy. And again, they got within about 45, 50 yards. But I was really hoping that with all the racket, that at least a Jake or a young gobbler would show up and maybe cautiously head to the corn feeder. And so maybe that would we could get it done there. What it just never happened. Um, so fast forward to Sunday afternoon, because we slept in Sunday morning. We go back to that same blind where we first started out, because when we had gotten there late Thursday. We had kind of driven around, and there were lots of birds at all the major feeders, and so we just said, well, let's just pick one and go. And so, well, we had success at the one with the power line running down the middle, so let's head back there. So we did. And it was by far the slowest hunt. I mean, it was rough. We did not have. We got in there about 4:30. Did not hear a thing until God, probably 6 o'clock. Now, my experience, that is not uncommon when it's warm outside. Those birds tend to work in the morning, and then they'll loaf under oak trees for a while, especially when it gets hot. And they won't come out until the late afternoon. But man, it was cool, and the hens were moving around everywhere. So I just did not expect that.
Mhm.
Well, sure enough, finally about 6 o'clock again, we're hearing gobbles in the distance, and here comes this time from the left. Here comes a troop of jakes, and I think there was three of them, and they end up doing this basically the same darn thing. They kind of hung up out there, and again, you can tell they're not scared, and so. Because I was wondering what is going on. Why are they following the same routine? I didn't know. Well, then I look to my right, and here comes two hens, and then here comes an even younger Jake. It was really bizarre, because typically, during turkey season, the females are together or by themselves, and the Jakes and the males are all together. But sure as hell, this Jake was stuck with these two hens, so he comes right to the corn feeder. So, from history, we've got Abby's barrel out the left side of the window, right? And so we have to pull it in, move it over to the right. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is it. This is really going to happen. Well, it ends up that this Jake just would not stop. He never ever really gave us a really good solid shot. I mean, I'm telling we were within 10 yards. I mean, not 10 yards, 15 yards. So it definitely would have been an ugly situation for that Jake if it had been somebody like us with more experience. But um, again, and this is where a lot of my video is. You can hear me talking to. We're going to post a video in the show notes that kind of talks about some of these tips, but then it actually goes through the 2 minutes of me kind of coaching Abby as this Jake is in range. And she was just hesitant, and that happens. So
Mhm.
I am hoping that when we go back out there, hopefully this weekend, we're going to have a different result. But anyways, I think it was a great experience for her and my wife and other daughter. Really enjoyed it. Saw a lot of deer too, which was fun. And that's one of the things is that even during that downtime, we had dove at the feeder and cardinals and all kinds of, things just kind of hopping around. It's important to bring that kind of stuff out, because that is cool, especially this day and age this month and last month when we're stuck in the freaking house. You got to enjoy every ounce of fresh air you can get. So, I do every time I'm out there, but I think that kind of struck something with my oldest daughter. She agreed. So,
Mhm. Well,
um,
that's cool.
yeah, no. So it was a great experience. I think it definitely gave her some confidence that, hey, baby, you can do this. That this is you certainly can. You can get this. You have the ability to do this. I'm proud of you. So, anyways, check out the video if you're interested. You've got young kids. It's full of a lot of good stuff. I was pretty pleased how it came out.
Well, awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely post that, on the podcast page. We'll email if you're on our email list where we remind people of our new podcasts and whatnot. It'll be in that email, and I haven't actually watched it yet, so I'm excited to watch it. I was waiting for us to have this conversation
Oh
first,
yeah, yep.
so I could hear you talk about it, and then I
Oh
can go
yeah.
watch it. So that's what I kind of like our listeners. They may hear us talk about it, and they can go watch it. So
Yes,
now I'm
sir.
excited to go out there, watch it, and yeah, very cool.
Yep. So we're gonna try to go again this weekend, which was be Easter, and so because ain't much else going on, especially not getting together. So we're gonna go out there, but this time Mr. 12 gauge is coming along too. So
Oh heck yeah!
uh, yeah, pretty excited. That's definitely going to increases our chances of something dying. So we shall see. We shall see.
Awesome, awesome.
Yep.
Well, great story. Because we hope to continue to hear, about it, and I'm sure she'll get one before, the end of the season.
Definitely. I hope.
Yeah. All right, cool. We got anything else to talk about on this one?
Boy, other than just the normal, we have been talking, you and I, since forever, well before we started the podcast about the need to help out these small towns, for us here in Texas, but really all over the country, and we've always talked about the feed stores and those hunting and fishing outfits that are suppliers and whatnot are in these small towns. And I'll tell you, with everything going on, that this is no time to stop. They definitely need the attention. They need the help now. And the big box stores, they're going to be fine. I am definitely not worried about them. But again, the small towns, they're out. You're always going to get better customer service at a local feed store and a local hunting supplier. You're actually going to get somebody who knows what they're talking about, who's actually engaged, and actually probably is interested in what you're doing and wants to help you out. And I think it's important for everybody to remember that, and if you need to go out of your way a little bit to help one of those stores, to give them some business, let's do it. I think it is so important. And, I think it's something that we've got to do. You and I, again, like I said earlier, we've been talking about this forever, and it's just, man, now this day and age, it's never been more true, never been more needed.
Right. Couldn't agree more. And if you need some help to find some of those stores out there that are there to help you out, check out our hunter search at feedbandit.com.
Absolutely.
If you've been listening to this program, you've heard some of our break-in ads about that hunter search, but that's what it exists for, is to help you guys out there find those feed stores and other suppliers of hunting gear that we can go out there and do our best to help out. So
right.
Check it out.
Feedbandit.com. I was gonna say, we are still, you've heard us talking about, we are still actively going out there and pursuing these feed stores to get signed up. It is a new concept to them. It is new technology. And so the adoption rate, it's going to take a little bit, but ultimately we've talked to a lot of people that are pretty excited, because they definitely see the benefit, and then they definitely understand the value of what we're trying to do here. So it's very exciting. And I think the future is very bright for this.
Indeed it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. See, there's a ray of hope in this.
There is.
Weird situation we're in. So that's what keeps us going over here at Old Feed Bandit. So.
Oh, absolutely. God, weird is the understatement, my friend.
Right.
Yep.
Well, all right, folks. Just want to say thank you guys for listening to this one, and stay tuned for future episodes of the Feed Bandit podcast. We got more interesting conversations ahead. So we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. And everybody out there, stay safe and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.